Revelation 1617. From the 17th of September 1940. State of the soul in the hereafter, which is still attached to matter. Everything earthly comes to an end with the physical death of the human being. There is nothing that the human being can take over into the beyond. He will only find what his thoughts desire on the other side, and if these thoughts are still very much connected with matter, with earthly goods, his imagination will also conjure up these goods for him in the beyond, according to his desire, but they will no longer exist in an earthly tangible form. So then the human being lives outside of earth, but within that which he builds up for himself in his world of thoughts. And thus the human being, who cannot yet completely separate himself from matter, has to take up the same battle against it as on earth. He cannot enter the kingdom of the spirit until he has overcome his desires and freed himself from them. Thus earthly life can certainly be finished, but not its earthly state as far as it is felt by the being itself. This is a regrettable state, a state of unfulfilled desires, agonizing longing and constant disappointment, a state of constant dissatisfaction and tormenting self-reproach, or, which is even worse, an apathetic sinking into deepest darkness, where the being is inaccessible to all help and instruction and cannot muster any will to improve its situation. What it left behind on earth the soul now seeks to gain again and again. It mainly stays where it lived on earth and sees and follows everything that happens. And this is time spent uselessly, which brings it no change of situation and also no change of its thinking. Only after an unspeakably long time does it recognize its pitiful state. It realizes that it no longer has any connection with earth and sees the hopelessness of its efforts to gain or hold on to earthly goods. This realization is followed by a time of deepest despair which lasts until the being gives in to the urging of helpful souls and decides to take action which will release it from its dreadful state. The path of higher development can now be covered incredibly quickly once the being has recognized it. Then it will seek to escape the state of darkness by virtue of its will, which it still calls its own. And such desire will be largely supported. It will now willingly separate itself from all desire which still applied to earthly goods. It will no longer desire anything other than light and freedom, and its own agonizing state lets it become compassionate for the fate of the other unredeemed souls. And now love begins to become active in it by turning its help towards the beings which are still enveloped in deeper darkness. And now the being redeems itself through the love it turns to its fellow sufferers, and it willingly follows the guidance of the beings of light by allowing itself to be taught by them, and now in turn enlightens the beings again to whom it can thereby bring help. The being only becomes free when it has killed, that is overcome, all desire for matter within itself. If the being succeeds in doing so on earth, it can enter the beyond carefree, and its state will result in light and knowledge. Yet the path of ascent is indescribably arduous for the soul which is still chained to the goods of this world, for until it has overcome this inclination it cannot enter spheres of light, and thus has to endure endless times of torment until it finally recognizes. But then it will work restlessly on itself and make up for what it neglected to do on earth, to give love in order to redeem itself and its kind through love. Amen.